bread to the poor, Lord and Master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. We take shelter of your lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay. Time for class.
We are fortunate to have His Holiness Bir Krishna Goswami Maharaj illuminating our hearts with Srimad Bhagavatam.
And we are very fortunate to have his soon-to-be holiness, Ran Govinda, who is inspiring me in spite of my old age. So, do we have a particular verse or anything?
10 or
What?
10.
I have the Bhagavatam all here. That's not a problem. But
It's, we're going to wind up the chapter here, I think, today.
which?
10:4, 44.
Canto 4.
Yeah, no, Canto 10.
10.
Canto 10. Okay.
Chapter 4.
Chapter 4.
And text 44. And I think you can just wind up the chapter here, 45 and 46.
Okay, chapter 4,
The
Canto.
atrocities of King Kamsa.
All right, let me just get there. Chapter 10, the end of chapter 4. King Kamsa, Kalandemi.
What's the text?
Beginning with 44, but I think we'll finish the chapter.
Okay.
45 and 46 also.
Okay, we could do 44, 45, 46.
Okay.
Wow,
Hare Krishna.
nice demons. I love demons. Anyway. Much more interesting than devotees. Prabhupada, whenever he heard stories of demons, I remember Los Angeles, Prabhupada was listening to the story of Shalva's airplane. And Prabhupada it was just like someone who was watching a football game. Prabhupada said, yeah, got him, basically, Prabhupada just became, Prabhupada really.
He was in it.
He really got into it, yeah. It's just like, when people watch a football or baseball or something game, Prabhupada really got into it. Because every day Prabhupada would listen to his Krishna book being read. And he would sit in his garden. There's a small garden in the LA temple, and Prabhupada would sit there. It was nectar. All right. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Nana Balaba Giri Badaradi Gopi Jana Balaba Giri Badaradi Yashodanandana Prajajananandaguna Yashodanandana Prajajananandaguna Nandana Prajajaranjana Munatera Badachare Munatera Badachare Jayurado Madhava Gunya Bihagoti Jayurad Madhuva Gunya Bihagoti Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Paravirkacharya All Suteta Sutashi Shimad His Divine Grace Savaya Charanada Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Huidas Thakur Ki Jai Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Garadha Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Sai Mukunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Mathuram Ki Jai Jagadada Sami Ki Jai Mudamai Ki Jai Shimari Lasadevi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Go Premananda Hari 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 Bo. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namo Vishnu Vidaya Krishna Pastaya Pukale Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachani Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Dejatarani. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 4th chapter, text 44. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so since some of you have the book on your phones, that's good. Sandisha, Sadhu, Lukasha, Kodane, Kodana, Priyan, Kama, Rupa, Dharan, Dikshu, Dhanavan, Graham, Avishat, Sandisha Sadhu Lokasha, Kadane Kadana Priyan, Kamarupa Dharan Dikshu, Dhanavam Griham Avishat, Sandisha Sadhu Lokasha, Kadane Kadana Priyan, Kamarupa Dharan Dikshu, Dhanavan Griham Avishat, Sandisha Sadhu Lokasha, Kadane Kadana Priyan, Kamarupa Dharan Dikshu, Dhanavan Griham Avishat. Okay.
Sandisha Sadhu Lokasha, Kadane Kadana Priyan, Kamarupa Dharan Dikshu, Dhanavan Griham Avishat.
Sandisha Sadhu Lokasha, Kadane kadana priyam Kamarupa dharan dikshu Anavan griham avishat
Sadishya sadhu lokasya
Sandishya sadhu lokasya
Karane karana priyan
Kadane kadana priyam
Kamarupadharan dikshu
Kamarupa dharan dikshu
Dhanavan griha avishat
Anavan griham avishat.
No one else? Okay. Sandishya, after giving permission.
After giving permission.
Sadhu lokasya,
Sadhu lokasya
of the saintly persons. Kadane, in persecution. Karana priyan, to the demons, who are very expert in persecuting others. Kamarupa Dharan, who could assume any form according to their own desire. Dikshu, in all directions. Dhanavan, to the demons. Griham avishat, Kamsa entered his own palace. So in translation, these demons, the followers of Kamsa, were expert at persecuting others, especially the Vaishnavas, and could assume any form they desired. After giving these demons permission to go everywhere and persecute the saintly persons, Kamsa entered his palace. So you can repeat. These demons, the followers of Kamsa, were expert at persecuting others, especially the Vaishnavas, and could assume any form they desired. After giving these demons permission to go everywhere and persecute the saintly persons, Kamsa entered his palace. So there's no purport by Srila Prabhupada, and so we're going to continue reading because Srila Prabhupada didn't comment, and how can we comment? So I'll read the next verse. Te vai raja pakritayas tamasa muda chetasa. No, we don't repeat when I just go on. Satam vidvesham acherur arad agata mrityavaha. Surcharged with passion and ignorance, and not knowing what is good or bad for them, the Asuras, for whom impending death was waiting, began the persecution of saintly persons. So, purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. As stated in Bhagavad Gita in the second chapter, text 13, Dehinosmen yutha dehe komaram yovanang jara tata dehantara praptir dhiras tatra namuyati. As the embodied soul continually passes in this body from boyhood to youth, to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. Irresponsible persons, surcharged with passion and ignorance, foolishly do things that are not to be done. Nunam pramata kurute vikarma. That's Shavadev's statement. Yadindriya priti apranoti. Anyway, I'll continue that verse after I comment. But one should know the results of irresponsible actions as explained in the next verse. I guess we should read the next verse, because that's actually part of this commentary. Next verse, text 4, Canto 4, 4th chapter, text 46. Ayushriyam yasho dharmam lokana shishya hevacha Hanti Shayamsi Sarvani Pumso Mahadatikramaha. My dear king, when a man persecutes great souls, all his benedictions of longevity, that means long life, beauty, fame, religion, blessings, and promotion to higher planets will be destroyed. Wow. So, Prabhupada didn't comment on that particular verse. I'm just looking at the Charya's commentaries right now, see if there's anything I can add. No, it's the same thing. So, Om Gana Timiranda Shah Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmeditam Yena Tasmai Shigrave Namaha. So Prabhupada quotes from Lord Rishabhadev here, like Nunam Pramata Kurte Vikarme Yarindra Pritya Apranoti. That people who consider the satisfaction of their senses to be important or dear, Nunam Pramata Kurute Vikar Yarindra Pritya Apranoti, then they become pramada. Prabhupada describes mada as being mad, not in the sense of psychologically mad, like neurotic or psychotic or stuff like that, but in the sense of confusing what is madness. Madness sometimes means to see something as something different than it is, or to not see something when it exists, or to see something that doesn't exist, to think you're seeing something, like a mirage in the desert. That's madness. So nunam pramata, so Prabhupada described that when you have this pramada, it means still more mad. So anyway, so that's the be-all and end-all of demons. And because they consider it like that, of course, in the Bhagavad Gita says, what? Pravatim cha, nivratim cha, janana vidur asura. Therefore, they don't know what is to be done, or even if they know what is to be done, what is not to be done, they don't do it. Because they're overcome with lust. But these specific demons that are mentioned here, especially someone like Kamsa, are more than ordinary just demons in the sense, actually, let me describe, anyway, it's really important to talk about the word demons first. Like Prabhupada used the word demon quite liberally in his books. And basically, sometimes almost to refer to anyone who was not a part of the Krishna consciousness movement, isn't it? You find that Prabhupada did that. So we have to really unpack Prabhupada's use of the word demon. It doesn't always mean, as we think in the Western world, someone who has fangs coming out of his mouth. So we have to be really careful when we're using that word with people. Prabhupada could do it, but in the Western world, it's like, it's heavy, it's super heavy. We can call someone a materialist, which is, no one's going to object to that, right? Hopefully not. But when you call someone a demon, it means they're just like, have a pitchfork like the devils, and, fangs coming out of their mouth, horns on their head. It means a lot more in the West than it does in India. So one has to be really careful about the use of words according to the different society in which one is preaching. I'll give you an example how, in the opposite, how there's a very light word in America and it's a very heavy word in India. The word is rascal. Like, if you say to someone like, you're a rascal, it's sort of cute in America. So I didn't know this when I went to India first time. And I started calling people rascal, the storekeepers, rascals, and I almost got killed. I remember meeting a bunch of Naxalites and I called them rascals. And that was almost the end of my life. It was on a train going to Sri Mayapur from Calcutta. So we have to understand Prabhupada's use of the word demons. Because many of the demons, that are described in the Bhagavatam and Vedic literatures are quite cultured. Or they're born in demoniac families Like you have Prahlad Maharaj born in a demoniac family. And Prabhupada actually said virtually demoniac blood flowed in his veins. Even though he's not a demon, but because of the family. You understand? The family he was born in is the demon family. Bali Maharaj, isn't it? Demon family. But even before he surrendered to Lord Vamanadev, he actually was quite cultured. I mean, what did he do? I mean, he was respecting brahmanas, performing sacrifices, listening to his Guru Maharaj. You know, it's not exactly, you know, just do anything and to anyone at any time, in any circumstance, just let your senses go wild. That generally the demons in the cultured families. I mean, even Jarasandha, of course, he was quite demoniac because he was getting ready to offer all those kings. Even Jarasandha respected Brahmins, isn't it? So they had some culture. Basically, it's not like modern day people that we may call demons or materialists, as I said before. So, anyway, so these particular demons, of course, they were actually demons. Just like in the Ramayana, you have the Rakshasas being described as demons. They also had the ability to change their forms at will. Just like our friend Surpanaka, your friend. It's just like your friend Surpanaka, when she first saw Lord Ram, in spite of being quite an ugly Rakshasini, or Rakshasi, she made herself look quite attractive. In fact, it's described about Surpanaka that her ordinary form, she had like a beer belly. You know, beer belly. You know, big fat belly. And when she started to attack Sita Devi, she manifested her real form, and she was quite ugly at that point. So anyway, so the Rakshasas, they could change their forms. And even the good guys of the Ramayana, they could change their forms too. The monkeys, they actually had that ability. Whoop. Hanuman had that ability. When he first appeared before Lord Ram, he appeared as a Brahmin, isn't it?
Yes.
He appeared as a Brahmin, and he was quoting Sanskrit expertly and everything like that. And Lord Ram understood that was Hanuman because he had this sort of like thing around his neck, like some jewel that only Lord Ram could see. So anyway, Jai, Shishi Radha Radhakanta, Shishi Gornatai, Shishi Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani Ki Jai. Okay, so as far as many of the demons that are being described here, they're actually incarnations of the demons that were described in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. If you read the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which you should read, you'll find many interesting stories about the demons fighting the demigods, and actually Lord Vishnu having to intercede. I mean, for example, in the beginning of the 8th canto, or part of the 8th canto, you have Indra offending Durvasa Muni. What happens is that Durvasa Muni comes to Indra and he offers Indra a very nice garland. And what does Indra do? Indra takes that garland and he gives it to an elephant. And the elephant tramples the garland, and Durvasa Muni curses him, and the demigods become bereft of all opulence. And therefore, when the demigods become bereft of all opulence, who do they approach? Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu, actually they go to Lord Brahma and they approach Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu says that you can't win over the demons now, but you should make a truce. And because of that truce, they have the churning of the milk ocean, and then all these nice things come out of the milk ocean, and eventually the Amrit comes out of the milk ocean. The Amrit is stolen, just very quickly going through the 8th canto of the Bhagavad, part of the 8th canto. The Amrit is stolen by the demons. Then they go to Vishnu again, Lord Vishnu again. They say, what should we do? And Vishnu says, okay, I'll take care of it. He appears as Mohini Murti. And because the demons don't have control of their senses, when they see Mohini Murti, they trust her to divide the nectar equally. And she cheats them, except for Rahu and Ketu. And then the demigods become more powerful. And then they fight with the demons again. And this fighting goes on and on and on. Eventually, they're almost killing all the demons. And it's interesting, Lord Brahma stops them. He says, don't kill all the demons. We need the demons. Why do you need the demons? It's almost like that Star Wars thing, both sides of the Force, the dark side of the Force. Anyway, so why do you need the demons? Because it keeps the demigods Krishna conscious. Without demons, the demigods, most of them wouldn't be Krishna conscious because everything is going on so nicely on the heavenly planets, right? Heavenly planets are so nice that the mangoes are bigger than this building. And there's no skin or seed to the mangoes. And all the ladies are beautiful and everybody smells good there. And no crying babies. So, anyway. So, therefore, the demons are necessary. So, one thing happens after another, and eventually the demons are brought back to life by Shukracharya. And the demons decide, to take shelter of the earth planet. That's the description of the 8th canto. And when they take shelter of the earth planet, they take shelter of the earth planet in Kshatriya families generally. And so, this whole plan by the demons to evade capture or evade the demigods leads to Krishna's advent and Kamsa, especially, who was Kalanemi, who was killed previously by Vishnu, and also Jarasandha, who was Viprachiti, one of the demons, he was killed previously by Vishnu. So it's all part of an interplay between the demons and the devotees from one life to another. One life or one incarnation to another. And actually there was a past story where the demons took shelter in the ocean to get away from the demigods. And the demigods couldn't do anything about it, so they called for Agastya Muni to drink up the whole ocean. So this is basically a play between the demons and the devotees, or the demons and the devas. And so, as I mentioned before, these demons are not actually just like all holds, nothing, no rules or regulations. These are cultured demons that are being described here. So we should understand that, and this is all part of the Lord's plan. Now, however, some of the personalities in the Mahabharata and the Vedic literatures who appear to be demons are not actually demons, but they're actually stimulating the fight between the demons and the devotees. Let's talk about Duryodhana and Shakuni. It's described that Duryodhana and Shakuni were the demigods Kali and Dwarpa, who actually stimulated the fight between the demons and the devotees. They just got everybody riled up and arranged for the whole battle of Kurukshetra so that so many people could be killed during the battle of Kurukshetra. So anyway, there's a lot going on beneath the surface of this particular story that is not quite apparent when you read the story. That was the point I'm making. So anyone have any questions? I'll keep it short. Yes?
Just a curiosity, it seems a little peculiar because we're not these bodies that Shukracharya could bring back the demons to life just by dipping them in a pool of liquid.
As long as the bodies were not torn to pieces or burnt. If the bodies were actually, I'll give you an example of the Mrityu Sanjivani in the Ramayana story. That the Rakshasas were fighting the monkeys and the bears, and of course Lord Ramchandra and Lakshman. Anyway, so what happened is that during the battle of Kurukshetra, the Rakshasas, whenever they were killed, they threw the Rakshasas' bodies in the oceans. In other words, they got rid of them. Not the monkeys didn't do it, the Rakshasas did that. So the other Rakshasas wouldn't become discouraged and see all the dead. And you actually see this in modern wars sometimes, that people will undercount the amount of soldiers that are been killed. I'm not going to mention any modern war like the Ukraine war right now, but they do that. So the Rakshasas' bodies were thrown in the ocean, and the monkeys and the bears, when they were killed in the battle, they were not thrown in the ocean, but they were actually kept there. So later on, and throughout the battle, not only later on at the end of the battle when Lord Brahma brought everybody back to life, but during the battle, whenever they brought that Mrityu Sanjeevani, that's Hanuman brought the Mrityu Sanjeevani, the monkeys were actually brought back to life. And not the Rakshasas, because the Rakshasas' bodies were gone. So as long as the body had not been mutilated, they could be brought back to life. That's what's described in the Mahabharata. Now, you may say, how are they brought back to life? Because the person is not the body, because the person has left the body. Well, I guess the soul and the subtle body were hovering around. And you actually find other instances where a person was brought back to life. I was just reading the story of King Nimi, where King Nimi was cursed by his guru, Vasishta Muni, to become near Deha. Remember the story? Yeah. And he cursed his guru also to die. Near Deha means without a body. So that, I'm not going to say why it happened, that's a long story. So they were cursing and counter-cursing each other, and they preserved King Nimi's body in a vat of oil. And so the sages, after they had performed a fire sacrifice, the demigods appeared, and the demigods asked the sages, what request do you have? And they said, we want King Nimi brought back to life. And then King Nimi was brought back to life, and he said, I don't want to be brought back to life, because I was back to Godhead. Yeah. And so they put the body back in the oil. King Nimi dies the final time. Then they do some genetic engineering of the body to get Janaka the first out of the body, right? Yes. And then he was the first in the whole dynasty of Janakas. And that's why Matila is called Matila, because of Maiti, the churning of the body or the genetic engineering of the body or the genes. And then Sita's father, Janaka, was one of the Janakas in that particular disciplic succession or king succession of Janakas. So you find many instances. Also, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought Srivas Thakur's son back to life. And Srivas Thakur's son, he said a few words. I had so many fathers, now I've died during the kirtan, goodbye. And he went. And then also you have Narada Muni bringing, Harsha Shoka back to life. Harsha Shoka, yeah. Chitraketu's son. It was Harsha Shoka died after one of his 9,999,999 mothers, Harsha Shoka's mothers, the wives of Chitraketu. So you find that instance. Somehow or other, the sages had the ability to call back the soul. Also, you have the story of, what is that? I forget the story, oh my God. The chaste lady who talked to Yamaraj and brought her husband back to life? Savitri and Satyavan. Yamaraj took the soul out of the body, and Savitri was just had a nice conversation with Yamaraj and convinced him, not to convince him, but actually tricked him into giving her husband back. Because eventually, she pleased Yamaraj so much, she got many blessings, like her father-in-law would get his sight back, and her father would get the kingdom, would get a son. I mean, so many blessings. Finally, Yamaraj said one more blessing, and she said, I want to have like 100 sons by my husband. And Yamaraj, not thinking, because he was so frustrated with this lady, he said, okay, now go. You can't have your husband back. She said, well, you blessed me to have 100 sons by my husband, so you got to give me my husband back. So you find many instances in the Vedic literatures of people leaving their bodies and being brought back to life through various means. Of course, we don't know this Mritu Sanjeevani business, So, that's a good question, though. It happens. As long as the body is intact, then they can utilize those different means. So, any other questions or comments? Yes.
I always wonder that Supreme Lord himself requesting Sukracharya to glorify the holy name,
Yeah.
who is not a devotee,
Yeah.
he is a guru of the demon race, and he gave such a, even Prabhupada quote that verse, Deshakala Avastitam Sarvam
Yeah.
Karati Nischitram Anusankirtanam Tava. I was wondering why Lord is, knowing him such a great scholar, such a great tapasvi, Mitra Sanjeevani was in
Yeah.
But how come he never, I'm just curious, why he never expressed to become a good devotee?
Because he was envious of Brahaspati. See, his envy actually, he had a lot of knowledge, and when it came, if you read the Mahabharata, when it came time to appoint the priests of the demigods, they chose Brahaspati rather than him. So because of his envy, which is an anartha, it actually clouded his consciousness, so he's always opposed to the demigods. Even though he has knowledge.
Yeah.
I mean, he has knowledge. I mean, he was the one who advised Bali Maharaj to worship Vishnu.
Yes.
He said, if you worship Vishnu, you'll become wealthy and powerful. However, when Vishnu came and wanted to take everything away, he said, stop it, it's not a good idea. Avatam Gyanametena Gyanino Nityabairina. Kamarupena Kontiya Dushprena Elena Cha. Avatam Gyanametena. One's knowledge becomes stolen by one's, isn't it? Eternal enemy, which is known as lust. Not only lust, envy, kama, krodha, mata, matsarya, bhaya, bhaya. And, oftentimes,
Maharaj, that verse, that Abitam Gyanam Atena Gadina Nitya Virina,
yeah,
that concludes all of us, we have knowledge then.
we have knowledge, but we don't act on that knowledge.
Correct.
That applies to every conditioned soul, even aspiring devotees who deviate from time to time. I mean, just like sometimes devotees, not sometimes, may overeat. Isn't it? Lose control of their senses. They know. They just said before prasadam, what is that? Sharira vijaja jatendriya tahikala jiva fulay vishaya sagare. Damide divoyati lobamaya sadurvati takeji takachina samsare Krishna boradoy moy. Kuribara jivadoy srapasana dedalvai semri tapal Radha Krishna Gunagapra. Which means, many devotees say it. I mean, the American devotees say it, they don't even know what it means. It's actually interesting. It means, oh Lord, this material body is what? A place of ignorance. And the senses are a network of paths leading to death. And of all the senses, which sense is most voracious? The tongue is most voracious and uncontrollable. But you, Lord Krishna, are so very kind. You've given us this prasadam bhagavad. Prasadam will help us control the tongue. So now let's take the prasadam and in love call out for Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. Please help us. It's interesting, devotees say the Sanskrit, or Bengali actually, and they don't actually say the translation. They don't know the translation. Oftentimes devotees say either Sanskrit or Bengali prayers without being aware of what they're doing. Or even if they know the translation, they don't think of it while they're doing it. It's done ritualistically. That's called niyamagraha. Like they say their obeisances, Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamati Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravati Pacharni Nivasesha Sunyavati Paschate. But they're not thinking about, I'm offering my obeisances to the servant of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada, who's come to the Western world to deal with impersonalism and voidism. You know, Nivasesha Sunyavati Paschate Dejatari. So it's called Krishna unconsciousness. So anyway, so even though before Prasadam sometimes we say this prayer, still we can't control our senses. Avritam Gyanametena Gyanino Nichavayana. It's our enemy. Kama. Kama Krodha Madhavatsarya Bodhibhaya, right? So one may have knowledge. Shukracharya certainly was. Shukracharya is very intelligent. He's not some dumb, that's another point. When you hear about demons, you think about someone who's really dumb in the bar or something like that in the French Quarter. But that's not a demon. A demon is generally imbued with a mode of passion. And also, we have demoniac tendencies too. So when we say, Pravatim cha, Nivartim cha, Janana vidura asara, that means even we act like that too. When we become covered by lust, we don't know what is to be done, and we don't know what is not to be done. That's why we say the demon and the devotee are in the same body, right? Pravatim cha, Nivartim cha. So you don't want to start applying that to people out in the street. You apply it to yourself. We have some demoniac tendencies. We lose control of our senses. Nunam pramata kurute vikarma yadindriya pritya pradoti. Right? So, any other questions or comments? Questions, comments, arguments? Problems? Well, yes.
Thank you for a wonderful presentation, Harsh. I was just curious, you were mentioning about how, for instance, Duryodhana had a role to play in the fight of Kurukshetra to instigate. Another incident comes to mind is when Parashuram battled Bhishma Dev because Dev wouldn't accept the wife. So we can see in these examples that Krishna is in control of the whole situation. And sometimes we get into a position and we try to believe that we're doing Krishna's work or what have you, when there's already a path laid out by a spiritual master and the activities are already prescribed. So that would seem like an unhealthy habit to try to believe you're doing Krishna's work when there's actually something to be done that was prescribed by authority.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. Oftentimes we think, I'll give you a practical example. Sometimes we may, as a so-called leader in the Krishna conscious movement, I may chastise someone and say, well, Krishna wanted me to chastise you. But maybe Krishna didn't want me to chastise you.
That's a blessing though, isn't it, when you chastise?
I think you should explain that to all my disciples. It's always a blessing. Can be. But, sometimes we say, Krishna made me angry at you. I've seen temple presidents do that. They said, Krishna made me angry at you. No, it wasn't Krishna's plan. And sometimes you don't get angry when you should get angry because Krishna wants. Anyway, so as far as Duryodhana is concerned, he was a demigod. Did you know that? And Shakuni was a demigod. And they actually were they were given the mission to stir up trouble so that there would be the battle of Kurukshetra and so many millions of people would be killed. And those were the demons who had taken birth on the earth planet in Kshatriya families, which you mentioned before, relating to the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah.
Yeah, but it seems that Duryodhana and Sakuni, they weren't in that consciousness that we're just playing a role here.
No, they got into their role.
Identifying as those demoniac personalities.
Yeah, they're called the worst of the demigods. But they are demigods according to the Mahabharata, and they were sent to for that. I mean, even you have Jai and Vijay playing, not aware that they're playing a role. They're just like into it when they become Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, Dantavakra, Shishupal, and also Ravana and Kumbhakarna. You know, they're into it, right?
But Maharaj,
Yeah.
if you say that they were destined to actually face this, or they are not making their destiny, then what is the value of free will?
Who's not making this?
Duryodhana.
Who?
Duryodhana,
Duryodhana.
yeah, was he destined to actually get chopped? I mean, killed the whole
Yeah.
100 son?
Yeah.
Then what is the value of free will?
Because first of all, he's serving the Lord in that particular way. I mean, that's an interesting question. The question is, I think that to further elaborate on your question, Krishna says in the Gita that as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he knows everything past, present, and future, right?
Yeah, Vedanam Samatikana.
Yeah, so because Krishna knows everything that will happen, does that mean that there's no free will?
There is a free will.
There is free will. But Krishna knows how you're going to exercise that free will. And Krishna also sends devotees down with a mission. Like Prabhupada, because the devotees are volunteering to serve Krishna in that way. Like Prabhupada was sent down by Krishna to start the Krishna consciousness movement, spread Krishna consciousness to every town and village. And Prabhupada was predicted by Bhaktivinoda Thakur and predicted by Lord Nityananda. But Prabhupada had free will. He chose to do that. So Lord Nityananda knew, and of course Bhaktivinoda Thakur knew that this personality would actually come down and do this and choose to do it.
But he doesn't experience that predestined.
No,
He
it's not. It's
experiences
not.
that
It's
I
not.
voluntarily
Yeah,
choosing.
it's not really predestination. It's just that the Lord knows how you're going to choose. There's a difference.
But the Prabhupada's expression that he
He made a choice.
is right.
You know, when
That is also true.
Yes, Krishna knows you have free will, and Krishna knows how you're going to use your free will. If he didn't know everything in the future or past or present, he wouldn't be God. Right?
So from Krishna's perspective, there is no free will. But from
No,
our
now from
perspective-
Krishna's perspective, there is free will.
because
Krishna knows how you're going to choose.
1863, Maharaj,
Yeah.
Krishna said to Iti Tegena Maikadam.
Yeah, you choose.
Jataichyashi Tatakuru. You think I gave you all the knowledge and you decide what you want to do.
That's right. But from another perspective, Krishna knows. If he didn't know, he wouldn't be God. Krishna says, yes, you choose. You're choosing. It's not predestined. It's not that I just sit down and I'm going back to Godhead and I don't have to chant my rounds and, whether I'm meant to go back to Godhead, I'll go back to Godhead. Well, then you're choosing to be a bum. And Krishna knows that you chose to be a bum. Krishna knew that you were choosing. I mean, you're putting Krishna in, trying to fit Krishna into your mundane understanding, because Krishna himself is beyond time and space. If you think about the material world, the time factor doesn't come into existence until the creation of the material world, right? Even the scientists talk about that. They say time and space and all those things came about during they say Big Bang. Like that. So Krishna is beyond material time. We're thinking of things in terms of material time. Our perspective is here in this world. Whereas Krishna, the spiritual realm is beyond, there's the absence of material time there. Past, present, and future. Isn't it?
Yeah. Would you say like 11:33? I'm thinking like Krishna says, "Tasmat uttishthata jasolavasya." Get up.
Get up, yeah.
Right.
Patishta.
But he already saw all are killed.
He saw her killed because you had the universal
So become
form.
instrument what? He still have a free will.
Yeah, he had a free will. Krishna was giving him that choice, and Krishna knew he was going to make the right choice.
I see.
Hoping, because Krishna himself, under Yogamaya, goes into different roles. Like when Krishna, first of all, when Krishna looks at the coward boys entering into the mouth of the Aghasura, he gets bewildered. He thinks, oh my God. And then he remembers he is God. So under Yogamaya, Krishna slips into our sphere for a while.
Yeah, makes sense.
You understand? He slips
Yeah.
into our...
So he's a script writer, but he's also playing the role as a...
Yeah. I mean, it's like he writes the script. Well, not... He allows people free will. I don't want to get too much into the script thing. But he knows which way you're going to... Because he's beyond time and space. The spiritual realm is beyond time and space. So he knows which way we're going to choose. He knows that, I, Bir Krishna Goswami, am going to be here in New Orleans, in the year 2022.
You making that choice.
I made the choice to come here. I could have chosen not to come here, but Krishna knew how I was going to choose. There's a difference. Krishna didn't force me. But without saying that Krishna is aware of everything, past, present, and future, without that particular concept, you're actually saying that Krishna has some unawareness. If Krishna isn't aware what's going to happen in the future. He knew that Duryodhana was, obviously in the universal form, he knew that Duryodhana and all the soldiers would die. And all the soldiers have free will too. It's not just Arjuna that had free will. Duryodhana could have chosen, all right, I surrender. But he knew that Duryodhana was not going to choose that. Krishna tried to make peace between the Pandavas and Kurus, even though he knew there wasn't going to be peace, just so that no one would blame him for being.
Well, Prabhupada says in the purport 3.2.6,
Yeah.
He says in the battlefield, when they dissolve their subtle body, a person like Shishupal could
Yeah.
not appreciate. So as a result, he got one destiny.
Yeah, he got one.
And those who appreciated, they got a far better destiny.
Yes, that's right.
So that's choice creating the destiny.
Yeah, that's right.
That's not up to Krishna.
No, it's not up to Krishna. Krishna doesn't force us. There's always that choice. You always have a choice. However, Krishna knows how you're going to choose. Also, Prabhupada said Krishna can change his mind sometimes. Prabhupada was asked about World War III, and the devotee says something like, why didn't World War III happen? And Prabhupada said, Krishna changed his mind. So, Krishna is inconceivable. I'm not going to try to put Krishna into my little box of conceiving his consciousness and what he knows, what he doesn't know. All I know is he knows everything. Past, present, and future. And how he deals with it, I'm not God. He's a chincha. Yeah.
Yeah, but the Bible either says, but me, no one knows.
That's right, but me, no one knows.
Yeah, he knows everything that's happened in the past, everything that's happening in the present, everything that will happen in the future. But me, no one knows.
Me, no one knows. So I don't try to understand. I don't try to understand Krishna anymore.
Yeah.
I try to love him.
Good.
Because you can't, really, you can't. You can't complete. I understand certain things of the philosophy, but and then also, Even when Krishna tries to glorify himself as Anantashesh, he can't even come to the end of his own glorification. You know that story.
Yes.
Because Krishna's glories are expanding unlimitedly at every unlimited moment. What does that mean? I don't know what it means. Do you? I'm just a jiva soul. Yeah.
There are different subtleties at play here, like you mentioned that Krishna temporarily, whether it's on purpose or whatever,
Yeah.
comes into our space.
Yeah.
But this is very similar with the Mayavadi say. Yes, just now, but when I'm liberated, I become one. So what's the difference?
The difference is that Krishna wants to. We don't want to. Krishna wants to for Leela. We don't want to, and this ain't Leela. This is not Leela. This is my old age Leela now. I don't want this. I don't want to get old. I don't want to get sick. I don't want to lose my hair. But Krishna has this Leela. He's playing. So at any minute, he can slip in and out of that Leela. Like you see the pastime again of Agasura. Krishna slips into the Leela, and then he slips out of the Leela. With the demons. I mean, you know, dealing with the demons in Vrindavan is quite interesting because Krishna is slipping in and slipping out of the Leela, which is really amazing. You know, sometimes he's thinking, well, I'm God. Other times he forgets he's God. But he's doing this voluntarily, like an actor. You know, he's described as an actor. Just like if any of you have ever studied acting, there's this school of acting called the Stanislavski School of Acting, which is called method acting, where you really get into your role. I studied that when I was in university, sorry. That's why I'm playing the role of a sannyasi. Actually, I'm a demon, but I play the role of a sannyasi just to give class. So, but you really... And you see, sometimes these actors really get into their roles so much that they fall in love with the lady that they're having the movie with, right? And they get divorced from their previous wife. It happens, isn't it? Bollywood? You know about Bollywood. So anyway, it's Krishna's playing a role. Like an actor, Krishna's an expert actor. It's not, he's under illusion, but he decides to play the role. Like an actor is not under, well, he's under material illusion, but using that as a metaphor, an actor decides, you know, I'm going into this movie, I'm going to play this role for some time. And he can come in and out of the role at any time, isn't it? But Krishna's like that. That's why he's described as a dramatic actor. But I, to tell you the truth, I don't understand Krishna. You know, I don't. All I know is Krishna's wonderful. He's unlimited. He can do anything he wants. He's having a good time, and he's all attractive.
So what is your explanation on 7.1?
Yeah.
Krishna says, Maya Shakta Mana Bhatta Jogam Junja Madasaya Samugram. You will know me completely. He did say there.
Yeah.
Just hear. Keep on hearing. Tat Srinu.
Yeah, you'll know him completely as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just like the verse, Yasmin Vigate Sarvamevam Vigatam Bhavati. It says one who knows Krishna knows everything. But does it mean you really know how to fix your car? If you know Krishna? No, it means you know the purpose of everything. To know that Krishna is God, and to know the purpose of life is to serve Krishna, to know that Krishna is all attractive, yeah, that means to know everything, to know Krishna. But I don't know everything about Krishna. He's inconceivable. Achintya Shakti. Right? Anyway, I mean, that's my particular realizations. It's an interesting discussion.
Nice.
Came out.
It's healthy discussion.
But he knows everything. He's God. And at the same time, when Krishna slips into his Leela, he doesn't know everything. So he can have a good time. right? Because if you know everything, then life is boring at that point.
But then Jejatamam Prabodhanti. It's not possible, like completely complete.
Yeah. As
Like
you
proportional.
approach me, I reciprocate accordingly. Tamsa type of bhajam. Mamavart manavartante manusha partha sarvasha. Yeah, any other questions? I mean, yeah.
With that in mind, that Krishna slips in and out and he comes to, like, I guess, his full consciousness of him being God.
Well, full consciousness is Leela too, you know.
Yeah, I guess that's my question, is how we know that Krishna is his original, if he comes out of it and knows, more. And it's like,
Well, his original aspect is basically, but he has so many aspects of his personality. But what he has the most fun at is being himself. Because it's like a man who, I'll probably use this again, it's like a man who works, who's a big company or something like that, but he has fun when he's at home. So his home life, his intimate relationships are the real man. And it's just a portion of his, let's say, of his personality that's manifest at work. But at home, everything's manifest. So that's how we know, like, how complete manifestation relationships are there. That's when Krishna's in Vrindavan. And then, but when it's needed, Krishna can remember that he also has these powers. It's like, I guess you could also say it's like Hanuman. Hanuman has all these powers, but his real relationship is just being at the feet of Lord Ram and serving Ram. And when it's necessary, he remembers his powers. Of course, he has, in the beginning of the Ramayana, when he's looking for Sita Devi, he has to have Jambavan remind him of his powers. Anyway, so it's a little bit different. Okay, we should end.
He's appreciating your class.
All right, thank you. It's very interesting. It's a fine philosophical point. But, the original, Krishna is Krishna, but all the other aspects of his personality or his powers are just inconceivable to us. Absolutely inconceivable.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah,
Bir
Srila Prabhupada.
Krishna Goswami Maharaj ki jai. After the class, the temple will be clean, so nobody, we just request. if
Nobody
you-